So amongst the releases, and if you've read reviews in any of the papers, you might think this is a controversial film of the week.
Yeah, well, I mean, let's just... One of the things about being a film critic is that you really have to see everything. If you're just seeing the stuff you're interested in, you're really not doing the job. I didn't want to see Serbian film, partly because I'd read stuff about it and it just sounded revolting. But the thing is, if you're going to be a film critic, you have to see everything. That is the job. If you're not doing it, you're just playing. The case with Serbian film is this. The story is a retired porn star is dragged out of retirement to do one last film. He's told it's an art film. In fact, he and his family descend into a world of paedophile snuff pornography on which horror piles upon horror. And there's been much written about is it the most disgusting movie ever made? Is it the Ne Plus Ultra of torture porn? The BBFC have cut just over 4 minutes from it. I would advise anyone to look at the BBFC statement. There's no point in me reading it all out here, but it is important to say 49 individual cuts across 11 scenes. But they say it's important to stress the filmmakers took precautions to avoid the exposure of the young actors to the film's most disturbing scenes. In the BBFC's view, no scene is in clear breach of the Protection of Children Act. However, there are many scenes which the juxtaposition of images is in breach of their guidelines. What that means is that the cuts are made to do with what the film does to the audience rather than what it did to the participants, but it is necessary to be clear about that. It is only a movie. It is knowingly revolting. Here's the stuff to say about it. The director says it's allegorical, that somehow it's an allegory of Serbian families, Serbian politics. If it is so, then the allegory just gets lost amidst the increasingly stupid splatter. I mean, the high watermark of this genre of filmmaking would be, say, something like Pasolini's Sarlo, but this isn't Sarlo. This is more like Cat in the Brain. This is less Pasolini than a Lucio Fulci movie. I mean, some of the extreme gore resembles the Hong Kong Category 3 stuff, and
Can you just explain a little bit?
There's a genre of movie that were called Hong Kong Category 3 movies in which there was just really extreme splatter and gore that was stupid and was kind of comical and amusing. I mean, the subject matter here is not stupid, comical, or amusing. And some people have likened it to Gaspar Noé. Actually, the thing it's closest to is Jörg Buttgereit. And not just Jörg Buttgereit's Necromantic, but the short films that Buttgereit made before that.
I haven't understood what you've said there.
No, but if you were interested in seeing a Serbian film, those things were... Because, let me say, it has a tiny little market, a very, very small market. It's not a film that I think is with merit. It's not a film that I would recommend to anybody. I'm glad to have seen it, so I don't have to watch it again. In terms of the cuts, to understand the cuts, do go to the BBFC site. But I think the most important thing to say is it's a film whose director thinks that it is an allegory, and apparently he's sincere about that. If there is an allegorical content in it, it just gets lost amidst the splatter, which is best described as... Do you ever see that film, The Aristocats? Which was about...
Walt Disney?
No, The Aristocrats.
Oh.
Or The Aristocrats, they call it.
Not The Aristocats.
The Aristocrats is a joke. It's a joke famous amongst comedians in which somebody comes into a room and they describe it. They say, "I've got an act," and somebody says, "What is it?" And then they start just describing the most disgusting, lewd, vile, unbelievable act. And at the end of it, the guy says, "And what do you call it?" And he says, "The Aristocrats." And that's the joke. And there's a film called The Aristocrats with people like Eddie Izzard all talking about how people have worked on pumping up the disgusting stuff you talk about, the punchline then being it's called The Aristocrats. Well, Serbian film is like that joke done as a gore movie, and the punchline is a Serbian family. It's like The Aristocrats, directed by, not even by Ruggero Deodati or by Lucio Fulci, but by Jörg Buttgereit.
Would that have helped?
Before Ian. Well, no. I mean, it is a film which fails. It is technically well done. I've read a couple of reviews which say it's technically shoddy. It isn't. It's technically well done. The ideas in it would be more horrible if they weren't more silly and incidental. It doesn't work on the level of allegory, and it is not to be taken seriously in the way that it thinks it is. And the most annoying thing about it is torture porn is one thing, pompous, pretentious torture porn is kind of something else. Anyway,
Can I just... I've got a question on this
Yeah.
from Martin in Old Portsmouth, regular correspondent. I've been following the ruckus surrounding this film for a little while and have been anticipating with genuine enthusiasm Mark's views, in particular his opinions on the worth of a film as a piece of art. Mark will, of course, have read widely on the history of the Serbian Empire prior to the screening, but I was wondering if it is possible for someone such as me who does not possess a forensic knowledge of the socio-political history of the Balkans to appreciate the allegorical swoops featured in the piece, or may the film just be regarded as a work which stands alone on its own merit?
It's a piece of exploitation trash. A nasty exploitation trash. Bits of it... You know, it's funny, Derek Malcolm said an interesting thing. There was, in that Video Nasties documentary, ages and ages ago, Derek and I were just talking briefly about Serbian
being
film.
the Guardian film critic?
Yeah, Derek Malcolm is probably, you know, one of Britain's most respected film critics. One of the things that Derek did when the Video Nasties were being defended was he was one of the people who stood in defence of some of the titles that had been impounded by the police, and he was speaking in defence of a film called Nightmares in a Damaged Brain, and the judge said to him, well, as a piece of filmmaking, what's it like? And Derek said, well, it's well executed, to which the judge said, well, so was the invasion of Poland. And this has kind of gone down in history as that was what people were up against. In the case of Serbian film, it's in a way saying things like it's technically well done. It doesn't mitigate the fact that it is in the end. I mean, it is horrible. The horribleness redeemed by the fact that it achieves a level of stupidity and an OTT grotesque. And as I said, if you want to understand it, don't take the allegory seriously. It is essentially a piece of exploitation cinema in the mould of Butgarite and Deodato at its very finest, not, as some people have tried to claim, in the mould of Pasolini Salo. And I have no more to say on the matter, and I'm, that's kind of it.
It's kind of, you talked about it enough, is what you're saying.
Yes, probably almost more than it deserves. What